something something FEH Channel, something something complaining, something something we're mad, I guess. I don't know. This FEH Channel sucked. Let's start. Mythic Loki. She does things. She shuts off every single bonus. She has gravity, employ, and exposure, and she does a bunch of other stuff. And she's flying, and she does other things. And it's I mean, I guess it's cool. More null enemy phase stuff, unless you're Emblem Ike, I think, or Emblem. No, not Emblem. The other Sheeta thingy, the one I can't think of because it's another term and I can't figure it out. Honestly, I don't even have a problem with the unit itself. She's broken. I mean, that's just kind of par for the course when it comes to like Fae. I think really my biggest issue really just starts with the fact that it's an OC mythic. And I know, ooh, shocking take, big take. Oh man, that's a real spicy one, man. That or it's like, oh, OC mythic, we're so used to it, blah blah blah. I think that's the problem though. See, I don't mind OCs getting mythics or legendaries because, you know, by this point we're just kind of used to it, and they immediately debuted the concept with Fjorm, so it's not exactly out of the question as to why we get them. I think the problem I have now is just, you know, with emblems now, and I don't mean as the concept of emblems being there, more that emblems now take up a slot in this cycle of legendaries and mythics, and I mean, I guess emblems now, so it's like 3 of them. And assuming they do 1 per quarter, it's not exactly the easiest thing to, you know, balance them out. Granted, legendaries have been running out a lot more, so I guess it made sense that they had to pad them. Not really sure why we had to really pad the mythic options with a bunch of OCs. And this is just assuming that is the case, or how the standard is going forward with all of these. We don't really have a great idea of it, but that's just the natural assumption. I think really setting aside a lot of these mythic slots for non-OC mythics probably would have been a lot better. And they could easily still put in OCs all the time for mythic slots. I feel like that's what they do most of the time anyway, so it's not anything new there. But I think now that we're getting even less opportunities for that, I feel like it could have really just been saved or put onto another banner, like how they do it with the midpoint, or they do with, I guess, you know, the launch books, but those are usually reserved for new characters. Even then, you get the idea. There's at least opportunities where they could have fit. In my opinion, it's definitely a lot more interesting when we get stuff like, I don't know, a Crusader, or maybe some like random out-of-pocket stuff that we probably wouldn't have thought of, but I guess is now on the table, like Loptis, or literally anything that isn't an OC. I think, again, OCs are fine, but now that it's becoming an even more competitive slot than it was before, I'm not really too sure why they decide to bust this one out specifically. But I guess it is what it is. Guess that's just how it goes. Whoop-de-doo. Although the good news, we get 600 flowers per every new legendary, mythic, and emblem unit if you get 2 copies on a 12-unit share banner and merge them. Also, this only applies to units that came out after Loki. Okay, very simple concept, horrible execution, I think. We get 600 flowers for every new legendary, mythic, and emblem post Loki. They have to be merged, and to me, this is kind of a weird decision they kind of decided to put out there. Not something they couldn't have done, one they probably shouldn't have done in this capacity. To me, this tells me they're clearly aware of the flower issue, quote unquote. Usually being able to balance it around is always good, whatever, blah, 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 but there's really been a big flower deficit, especially since the amount of flowers taken to max out a unit continues to increase, and the amount of flowers we get per unit doesn't increase. They also know that merges don't really mean anything nowadays, and that's rarely ever been an incentivizer for most players at this point. I think that's also part of the reason why they keep selling skills instead of merges, because I think at this point the power levels are at a degree to where merges really don't make a difference whatsoever, whereas they definitely would in the past. Now they just come out with new skills all the time, or like combinations of skills or side grades that people would otherwise pull for instead. And I think really they thought of this as, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And I think what they got out of this was, we're killing 2 Fae players with 1 stone, which you probably did want to do. I think what also doesn't help, besides the fact that it's a 12-unit share with 3 units per color, is the fact that sparks are also locked behind Fae Pass, which makes the process of even getting these units so much more difficult. Can't imagine what really would have fixed this outside of the idea of maybe potentially having it so it applied retroactively to every single legendary and mythic and emblem unit, because keep in mind, Ike just came out, and I guarantee you a lot of people really pulled for him because people like Ike, and that's besides the fact that he's a really good tank. He doesn't get the 600 flowers. nobody beyond the units that come after Loki get it. I think this could have easily gone a lot better if this applied, again, if this falls retroactively under every single character under that umbrella, but they really didn't, and it could have easily just been how it was with the older units where they just get a cut amount of flowers, you know, hopefully not like 2 flowers, because that was bad even back then. Even so, they could have easily made it so like, oh, anybody before Loki got, I don't know, 200 flowers. And I mean, I think there still would have been incentive there, even on the incentive of, you know, helping sell remix banner units or Hall of Form units, because we've been getting legendaries on that too. So there easily could have been something more to it besides, you know, oh, you just got to summon for the new stuff and you got to merge it. And a lot of the times, because of skill creep, there's a lot of stuff that you probably don't want to merge. But you know, too bad. There's also other generic stuff in the FEH channel, because, I mean, FEH channel generic stuff, because Golden Week, you know, rewards, CWOW reruns, tickets, Roker rerun with flowers that you can actually get without merges. Oh, sorry. No, this is the new Roker Sieges Plus. You have to have merged Roker before this mode to actually get the flowers. And then there's also the weekly revivals getting increased, which extra feathers, I guess. I don't know. Although I guess it makes the cycling of getting to units that you probably want to pull for later down the road much more quick, which, I mean, that is a benefit for what it's worth. And you know, that could have easily stopped there, but there was also stuff not mentioned in the FEH channel that, you know, probably should have been mentioned, you know, including the Alfred Forma that was just brought up and never really reflected on. Whether or not, you know, you could merge it or, you know, apply fodder or whatever, or it locks the unit. Sorry, they mentioned it on a Twitter post that most people aren't going to see, because it's not through the in-game notifications. Amazing. Thank you, IS. I can only imagine how many players are going to merge Alfred into this, thinking they could fodder his skills after the fact, and then they just don't have an Alfred they could really use after that point. And to be fair, I think I would have been more fun with it if you could also get arcanes on other characters or something. But I don't know, the whole thing around arcane or rearmed units on Hall of Forms is really dumb. It really doesn't do anything for them in a positive manner, you know, especially since this isn't in the in-game notification, or maybe it will be by the time the event ends. Still kind of dumb either way. What else didn't they mention? They didn't mention how they replaced the legendary Sigurd's beast skill that nobody used with a beast skill that nobody is going to use. At least the Byleth one is cool. I know sometimes people give out skills before the remixes happen and they may just overlap with what they get. That just kind of goes without saying regardless. I don't think anyone gave Seal Defense 4 to Sigurd at least, so there's that at least. I mean, I guess besides that, they didn't really mention, I guess, the will to keep going.
The name's Will.
It should have been obvious that you couldn't fodder Alfred because formers can't be foddered. It's just basic knowledge. And it should have been basic knowledge that the only reason your parents are stuck with you is because they couldn't fodder you off either.
The name's Will.
You know, maybe this is just the April Fool's video they had planned, you know, the same one they planned for the month because they forgot when April 1st was. Never mind. In closing, FEH channel bad, keep gambling, I guess. I don't know. Are we ever happy with this game or anything in general? The answer is me. I am. Because I got all of you. I didn't have another joke to end this on, so it could be a bit more wholesome.
The name's Will.